All right, let's talk about Tesla. They just made a huge, and I mean huge, change to their most ambitious, and let's be honest, most controversial feature, full self-driving. The option to just buy it outright, it's gone. So why are they making this massive bet on a subscription model now? And what does this mean for the millions of people who already bought into the dream? We're going to break it all down.
So the news came straight from the top. Elon Musk, on X, of course. He announced that as of now, you can no longer buy full self-driving. It's a subscription or nothing. And, this isn't just some small pricing tweak. This is a complete teardown and rebuild of their business model for this feature.
Let's just look at the raw numbers here. It used to be an $8,000 one-time payment. You buy it, you own it. Now, it's $99 a month, forever. Tesla is fundamentally changing the entire deal. They're turning a car feature into a recurring software subscription, kind of like your Netflix or Spotify. The massive question is, why? Why do this now?
So yeah, why the sudden pivot? Well, to really get what's going on here, you have to look at the challenges that Tesla is, suddenly facing.
See, this move isn't happening in a vacuum. Tesla's actually facing some pretty serious headwinds right now. Their sales recently fell for the first time in years, and it wasn't a small drop. We're talking a staggering 16% decline in the last quarter. For a company that was literally built on the story of exponential growth, that's a huge alarm bell. And that sales dip, it led to something that would have seemed completely impossible just a couple of years ago. For the first time, Tesla wasn't the undisputed king of the EV market anymore. They actually got overtaken. And the new champion is a Chinese automaker called BYD. Their growth has been absolutely explosive, and it has completely changed the game in the EV race. This puts immense, and I mean immense, pressure on Tesla to find new ways to make money, ways that go beyond just selling more cars. So what do you do when the competition is suddenly breathing down your neck in the car business? Well, if you're Tesla, you double down on what you think your real advantage is: software. The game plan seems pretty clear, right? They want to shift away from relying on that one-time profit you get from selling a car. Instead, they're looking to build a steady, predictable, high-profit revenue stream from subscriptions. This is about them trying to tell the world, hey, we're not just a car company anymore, we're an autonomy and robotics company. But this new subscription model, it isn't just about boosting the quarterly earnings report. Oh no, it's about funding the single biggest, boldest promise that Tesla has ever made: the robo-taxi dream. And this has always been the grand vision. For years, the whole justification for FSD's sky-high price was this promise that your car wouldn't just be a car. It would be an asset that actually makes you money. The pitch is so simple, but it's incredibly powerful. You drive your car to work, and instead of it just sitting there, losing value in a parking lot all day, it joins a fleet of autonomous taxis, driving itself around and earning you money. It's a completely revolutionary idea, but, and this is a big but, it all hinges on one absolutely critical thing: FSD actually becoming fully self-driving. And that brings us to the really crucial part of this whole story: the massive gap between that incredible robotaxi dream and the reality of the technology that you can actually use today. Okay, this is the most critical distinction to understand. Despite the super ambitious name, full self-driving, as it exists today, is legally and technically classified as a Level 2 driver assistance system. It's designed to assist a human driver, not to replace one. What that means in the real world is that you, the driver, are still 100% responsible for the car, legally and practically. You have to be fully attentive, keep your hands on the wheel, and be ready to take over in a split second if the system disengages, which, by the way, it can do at any time without much warning. We are still a long, long way from a car you can take a nap in. And hey, even in Tesla's most advanced public tests, like the ride-hailing service they're trying out in Austin, there is still a human safety driver sitting in the car at all times, ready to grab the wheel. This really shows you just how incredibly complex that final leap to true full autonomy really is. So, with that dream still way off in the distance and the business model changing right now, how does all this land with the people who actually own these cars, especially the ones who bought in really early? To really get their perspective, just think about this number for a second. Some of the early adopters paid as much as $15,000 for FSD. They weren't just buying a fancy cruise control. They were making a serious long-term investment in the promise of that robotaxi future. But that huge investment is now hitting a major snag, particularly for those early owners. Because, while you can update software over the air, You can't really do that with the physical hardware that's built into the car. And this is where things get, well, kind of sticky. Here's the tough reality. The physical hardware, the actual cameras, the computer inside, in those older Teslas, it just isn't powerful enough to run the latest and greatest versions of the FSD software. So just imagine this. You paid a ton of money for a lifetime of updates, but now your car, your physical car, is literally being left behind by the very software you thought you owned.
And that really leaves us with the central tension of this whole story. Is this shift to a subscription model a brilliant, maybe even necessary business pivot to fund the future, especially with all this new competition? Or, if you're one of those early adopters who invested thousands of dollars in a promise of lifetime access to an autonomous future, does this feel like that promise is being broken? It's a question that puts cold business reality on a direct collision course with customer loyalty.